And what happens is, when people keep trying and keep trying to change their country, and keep trying to change their country, and there is repeated failure, after some time, they adjust to mediocrity. Any system of government, they will accept that system of government. If things are not working, they just say, anybody who is trying to do something about it, they will tell you, why are you wasting your time? We tried this 10 years ago. We tried this in 1994. We fought June 12, nothing changed. We tried this here, and they keep going at that. So learned helplessness is a behavior typical of an animal, and this occurs where the subject endures repeatedly painful or otherwise difficult situations, which it's unable to escape from or avoid. After such an experience, the organism often fails to learn or accept escape or avoidance in new situations where such behavior will likely be effective. In other words, the organism learns that it is helpless. It has come to learn that in situations where there is a presence of difficulty, and has accepted that it has lost control and thus gives up trying. Such organism is said to have acquired learned helplessness. Therefore, what we're saying is that the power to change the course of this nation lies not only in you pointing to the leader, but the truth is there is an office, all right, a role for leaders, but an enlightened and engaged, all right, citizenry there can make great impact in transforming this nation. We could say, in other words, citizens who are educated and actively participating in the political affairs of their nation, the system through which good leaders are elected and held accountable. If the enlightened ones in our society get into a place where they believe they can effect a change, all right, or they cannot affect a change because of their past experiences, then those who want to control the affairs of this nation for purely selfish reasons have actually won. That is the defeat of an entire generation who, though qualified and able, like that piranha fish that had the ability to cut. In fact, they took a strand from a bulletproof, all right, vest, and it cut it immediately with its teeth. That was the ability that it had, but it had adjusted, all right, to feeding on fish food. So the entire generation, though they be qualified and able, they feel helpless to change anything. At this platform, we are therefore speaking directly to that generation. We are saying that there is a way to get involved and engaged. That if historically nothing has changed when we once tried, it doesn't mean that our future must be surrendered to our past experiences. And when we're talking about getting engaged, I'm sure a lot of speakers here will deal with this. It is more than just, now this is good, but it's more than just picking up PVCs for an election, right? The lowest form of power in the democratic process is casting your vote on election day. The truth about the matter is this, that a delegate in a national political party, his vote is worth about 100,000 PVCs on election day, because they have the power to choose who you will choose from. So if they give you the option, and I'm not saying in any sense of being rude, but if they give the option of a dog and a cat, then you, with your PVC, can only choose either a dog or a cat. So we must get enlightened, all right? So this getting engaged, what we're talking about here today, is more than collecting your PVC. PVC is good, all right? But you can still fall prey and use the PVC and nothing changes. We're talking about a way in which you enter into the system in order to bring about significant changes in this nation. If the educated, young, energetic, enlightened people get involved, things are going to change. All right? One of the people going to speak today, and this is what provokes people to get involved, a gentleman who decided, listen to this story. He decided that he was going to build a road. He pastors a church, he said, let's build a road, right? And applied to the local government to build a road. It's a good thing. And then they said they will write him and give him permission to build it. He waited first month, no letter. Second month, no letter. Third month, Finally, he went to the local government chairman and said, what's the problem? They said, why don't you give us something before we allow you? He said, you mean I want to do something for the community and I have to bribe to do this? And he got up and said, I'm going to do something about you people that are here. Now, many times, many of us face things that should provoke us into getting engaged. But we simply say it cannot change. Right? And that's what we want to look at today. Now, finally, I will close with a particular story and particular words of somebody. I think I've closed all of my opening speeches in the last 3 editions of the platform with this. And it's very powerful. And people should think about this. And it's the words of a political columnist, this is in America, and a consultant psychiatrist, a medical doctor, trained psychiatrist. And his name is Charles Krauthammer. And he captures this thought best about the power of politics. And what he was saying was that no nation can grow and develop until one generation in that country masters politics. Once one generation masters politics and change the politics of that particular country, then the coming generations can build on it. But if there is no generation that has mastered the art of politics, there can be no real development in that country. And he's a trained Harvard doctor. And he became paralyzed waist downwards at his 2nd year in Harvard while engaging in recreational diving. And in his most recent book, Things That Matter, he said it was going to be a collection of his writings about everything but politics, because he's a political commentator. Things mysterious and beautiful, or just odd, he said. His working title was There is More to Life Than Politics. Listen to what I'm saying. He said there is more to life than politics. But in the end, he couldn't. For the simple reason, he said he left psychiatry for journalism. While science, medicine, art, poetry, architecture, space, sports, number theory, and all things hard and beautiful promise purity and elegance, they are fundamentally subordinate, and in the end, they bow to the sovereignty of politics. Politics, the crooked timber of our communal lives, dominates everything, because in the end, everything high and low, most especially high, lives or dies by politics. You can have the most advanced cultures, get your politics wrong, he said, and everything stands to be swept away. He went further to say, every generation has come to know that after you have mastered all disciplines, there is one more thing you will need to know on the earth. And he said it is politics. And that because of its capacity. When by then it says it allows all things around it to flourish in its capacity. All right? But when bad, it allows all things to wither. Today, the problem in nations is not whether there are educated people who know right things to do. It is whether they have gotten their politics right. Nations and organizations commit suicide by getting their politics wrong. Politics is the moat, they say, the walls beyond which lie the barbarians. Fail to keep them at bay, and everything will burn. It has been said by historians that the only power comparable as destructive to man as politics has been nature. In other words, it's the only thing that can be compared to politics is you have a flood in an area, outbreak of fire that burns the entire city down, but you want to look for something that destroys people. Outside that, it's their politics. Nations were ruined and millions died, he said, in the last century due to wrong politics. The most considered and balanced statement of politics, the place of politics, he said, in the hierarchy of human disciplines came from John Adams. He said, I must study politics and war, that my sons may have the liberty to study mathematics and philosophy, geography and national history, naval architecture and agriculture, in order to give their children a right to study painting and poetry, music and architecture. In other words, if you go to school and the politics is wrong, your education will count for nothing. One generation, we've seen it in this country, all right? The amount of consultant medical doctors, Nigerians, is in the thousands, all right? Thousands, all right? I landed one time in Dallas. The taxi told me, he said, There's no Nigerian in this place that is poor. I will take you to where their professionals are. He said they are buying up the buildings. All right? So, Adam saw clearly that politics is the indispensable foundation for all things elegant and beautiful. The deepest purpose of politics is to create the conditions for the cultivation of other things. God bless you all.